The surface of the planet shook as explosions lit the sky. Federation soldiers ran for cover behind craters and broken machinery. Captain Riley Mason shouted orders to his team while trying to stay calm. The enemy forces had appeared suddenly. Their numbers were overwhelming, and Riley knew that retreat was not an option. He watched as Lieutenant Ava Carter directed soldiers to form a defensive line. Her voice was steady even when panic tried to creep in. They were human soldiers facing impossible odds, and they knew every second counted. Sergeant Luke Hayes fired his rifle from behind a damaged vehicle. Each shot was precise, but the enemy kept advancing. The ground trembled under heavy artillery. Nearby, Corporal Mia Bennett helped wounded soldiers crawl to safety. Blood and dust mixed in the air. She refused to leave anyone behind. The soldiers had been trained for battle, but nothing could fully prepare them for this attack. Riley checked his communicator. Signals from the Federation fleet were weak. The enemy had jammed most communication channels. Without support from the fleet, the soldiers would have to hold the line alone. Riley's stomach tightened. If they fell, the Federation would lose the planet and the civilians waiting in orbit. He could not let that happen. In the distance, a small group of soldiers ran across open ground. Riley motioned for them to take cover. He noticed one of them was new, Private Daniel Cole. The boy was scared, but determined. Riley admired that. Everyone had fear, but courage was what kept them moving forward. Daniel crouched behind a mound of rubble, gripping his rifle tightly. He saw the enemy advancing and knew his actions could decide who lived and who died. The enemy fired mortars, shaking the soldiers from their positions. Debris flew through the air, hitting walls and vehicles. The human soldiers returned fire as best they could. Captain Riley moved among them, giving orders and encouragement. Ava Carter coordinated the defense with skill. Every soldier had a role, and every role mattered. They fought for each other and for the chance to survive. Suddenly, a huge explosion shook the area. A building that had been used as a command post collapsed. Inside, communications equipment was destroyed. Riley cursed under his breath. Without the post coordinating, the defense became harder. He glanced at Ava, who was signaling that they needed to fall back to a safer location. Riley nodded. Retreat was dangerous, but staying in place could mean total destruction. As they moved, soldiers kept firing at the enemy. Luke covered them, taking shots with precision. Mia dragged a wounded man along, refusing to leave him behind. Daniel followed closely, learning quickly how to move under fire. The enemy was relentless. Their numbers seemed endless. Every corner of the battlefield was filled with danger. Riley knew that holding their position required more than weapons. It needed strategy and trust. They reached a crater where they could regroup. Riley counted his team. Some were injured, some were shaken, but all were alive. He took a moment to catch his breath and study the battlefield. He realized that the enemy would continue to push. The humans had to find a way to survive long enough for a chance to turn the fight around. Hope felt distant, but it was still there. Riley turned to Ava and whispered, "We can make it if we stay together." She nodded. "We will find a way. Someone will come for us." He did not know if reinforcements would arrive, but he needed his soldiers to believe they could survive. Morale was as important as ammunition. As night fell, the explosions lit up the sky like fire. The soldiers huddled in their positions, watching the enemy advance from the horizon. Every moment was tense. Each soldier thought about their family, their friends, and what they were fighting for. They were human, but their courage shone brighter than any weapon on the battlefield. Unknown to them, far in the asteroid belt, a lone figure watched. Ethan Cross, a hidden sniper, observed the battlefield through a high-powered scope. He took notes of enemy movements and the positions of the human soldiers. He did not move yet, but he knew the time would come when he could change the course of the battle. For now, the humans fought unaware that hope was hidden among the rocks and darkness of space. The night on the planet was filled with explosions and gunfire. Federation soldiers were tense, listening for every sound. Captain Riley Mason checked his team and found that everyone was still alive, though tired and injured. Lieutenant Ava Carter was moving among the soldiers, encouraging them to stay alert and keep their positions. She noticed Private Daniel Cole shaking but holding his rifle tightly. He was learning quickly in the middle of chaos. Riley looked at the horizon. Enemy forces were regrouping for another attack. He knew that without help, the humans might not survive the next wave. Morale was low, but determination kept them fighting. Soldiers whispered about a legend, a hidden sniper, who could change the outcome of a battle. In the shadows of the asteroid belt, Ethan Cross observed the planet. His camouflage suit made him invisible, even to advanced sensors. He moved slowly from rock to rock, keeping an eye on enemy formations. He was a human trained for impossible missions. His job was to find the best targets and strike at the right time. He could see the fear and courage of the soldiers below, and he prepared to act when the moment was perfect. Back on the planet, soldiers set traps in fortified positions. Corporal Mia Bennett helped the injured, moving them to safer ground. She checked each wound quickly and efficiently. The team had learned to work together under fire. Riley gave orders to reposition heavy weapons to cover open ground. They knew the enemy would try to break their line, but they refused to give up. Riley spoke quietly with Ava, thinking they needed to hold out until help could arrive. He did not tell them about Ethan yet. He wanted the soldiers to fight without depending on outside help. Their own strength had to keep them alive. Ava nodded and returned to her squad, shouting commands to keep everyone alert. Private Daniel Cole peeked over a barricade and saw enemy soldiers moving into position. His heart raced, but he stayed low. He fired at the approaching enemy carefully, hitting two before they could spot him. Luke Hayes joined him, covering his fire and moving forward to secure the area. The humans were small in number, but their precision slowed the enemy advance. Explosions rocked the ground nearby. A supply vehicle was hit and caught fire. Soldiers ran past it, ignoring the flames, determined to reach better defensive positions. Riley shouted orders, directing everyone to cover each other. Soldiers from different squads supported each other, providing ammunition and medical help as needed. From the asteroid belt, Ethan Cross watched the chaos. He could see the positions of enemy leaders and the clusters of soldiers fighting below. He began planning his first strike. His rifle was high-tech, capable of long distances with perfect accuracy. He waited for the moment when the enemy would be most vulnerable. The humans on the ground had no idea that someone was watching over them. As dawn approached, the fighting continued. Soldiers were exhausted but refused to quit. Riley encouraged them to push forward and hold their lines. Ava helped Daniel reload and aim. Each shot counted, and every soldier knew their role. The human determination was clear in their actions. Finally, Ethan prepared his first shot. He targeted a group of enemy commanders directing attacks. With one careful fire, they were eliminated. Confusion spread among the enemy ranks. The humans on the planet noticed the sudden gap in leadership. Morale rose as they realized the tide could be turning. Riley and Ava saw the chance in order to counterattack to regain lost positions. The humans fought with renewed energy. Luke and Daniel moved forward, securing a hill that had been under enemy fire. The Federation soldiers were still outnumbered, but their hope grew stronger with every success. The hidden sniper was beginning to change the course of the battle, and the humans knew that survival was now possible. The sun rose over the battlefield, casting long shadows across craters and broken machinery. Federation soldiers tightened their grip on rifles, scanning the horizon for enemy movements. Captain Riley Mason gathered his team for a quick briefing. They had survived the night, but the enemy had not stopped advancing. Their numbers seemed endless, but the humans had begun to fight back with better coordination and hope.
Yes.
Lieutenant Ava Carter pointed to positions where enemy forces were regrouping. "We need to hold this line until reinforcements arrive," she said. Soldiers nodded, checking weapons and making sure everyone was ready. Private Daniel Cole followed closely, still nervous but learning quickly. Corporal Mia Bennett moved among the injured, giving water and encouragement. She refused to let fear spread. Sergeant Luke Hayes peeked over a ridge and spotted enemy squads moving toward their flank. He signaled Riley and Ava. They adjusted their positions, setting traps and preparing for ambushes. The humans were small in number, but used strategy to slow down the enemy. Every decision mattered, and mistakes could cost lives. Far in the asteroid belt, Ethan Cross observed with precision. His scope tracked the movements of soldiers on both sides. He identified enemy commanders and supply units. His finger rested lightly on the trigger, waiting for the perfect moment. He knew the humans needed him, but timing was everything. One wrong move could expose his position and ruin the advantage. Back on the planet, the humans fired coordinated volleys. Daniel hit a moving target with careful aim, surprising himself with his accuracy. Luke moved forward to cover him while firing at approaching enemies. The Federation soldiers pushed forward cautiously, using craters and debris for protection. Explosions rocked the ground, but they refused to retreat. Riley watched the battlefield carefully. He noticed confusion spreading through the enemy ranks. Commander targets were disappearing, causing disarray. He suspected that someone else was helping them, but he did not have time to investigate. Every soldier had to focus on their task. Morale was improving, and that alone could give the humans a chance. Mia helped move a wounded soldier to a safer location. She bandaged cuts and checked for broken bones. Soldiers looked at her and felt strengthened by her determination. Ava shouted instructions to a group of riflemen, keeping them in formation and ready for counterattacks. The humans were small but disciplined, and their teamwork became their greatest weapon. Ethan prepared to take another shot. He identified a high-value target controlling a large group of enemy soldiers. Calculating distance, wind, and gravity, he fired. The shot hit perfectly, causing chaos in the enemy formation. Soldiers on the planet saw the effect and realized they had an unseen ally. Hope surged through their ranks as they pushed forward more aggressively. Riley ordered a small squad to reclaim a hill that had been under enemy fire. Daniel followed Luke closely, firing at anyone who approached. The humans moved with purpose and courage. The enemy, now confused and leaderless in parts, struggled to maintain control. Explosions, gunfire, and shouted commands filled the air, but humans pressed forward without hesitation. As the day progressed, the hidden sniper continued to pick off key enemy leaders. Federation soldiers gained ground slowly but steadily. Riley and Ava coordinated attacks, moving squads to vulnerable points. Mia tended to the injured, while Luke covered their movements. Each success boosted morale and strengthened the human line. By late afternoon, the humans had secured several key positions. Enemy advances slowed, and fear began to appear in their ranks. Soldiers whispered about the hidden sniper and the bravery of their teammates. Riley looked at Ava and said, "We are not out of danger, but we are still standing." Ava nodded, her eyes on the horizon. The battle was far from over, but humans were proving that courage and strategy could overcome overwhelming odds. Ethan, still hidden in the asteroid belt, watched the battlefield with satisfaction. The humans below fought with courage, inspired by the unseen hand aiding them. He planned his next strike, knowing that every shot could save lives and turn the tide even further. The battle was just beginning, but hope had returned to the Federation soldiers. The battlefield was chaotic as the sun climbed higher. Federation soldiers pushed forward slowly, checking every corner for enemy traps. Captain Riley Mason led his team from a ridge, signaling 2 squads below. Lieutenant Ava Carter moved among the soldiers, giving orders and encouragement. The humans were still outnumbered, but they had started to gain confidence. Private Daniel Cole fired carefully from behind a rock, hitting 2 advancing enemies. Corporal Mia Bennett dragged a wounded soldier to cover, ignoring the smoke and fire around her. Suddenly, a large ship appeared in orbit. Human Queen Elena Ward, leading the enemy forces, was visible through the observation windows. She watched the battlefield with calm precision, giving commands to her officers. Her strategy was ruthless. She knew the humans were gaining ground, but believed her forces could still crush them. She spoke to her officers, assigning squads to reinforce positions and cut off the human supply lines. Riley noticed the enemy ship and understood the danger it posed. He told Ava to prepare for a new wave of attacks. Soldiers readied their weapons and reinforced barricades. Luke Hayes moved forward to cover open ground, while Daniel stayed close, learning from his example. Every soldier was aware that the fight could get even worse. Explosions shook the ground as enemy reinforcements landed nearby. Ethan Cross watched from the asteroid belt, observing the Queen's ship. He calculated the trajectory to hit key parts of the ship without endangering humans on the ground. He adjusted his scope and waited for the right moment. He knew that one successful strike could cause chaos in the enemy fleet and give the humans a chance to push further. For now, he remained hidden, moving silently among the rocks and shadows. On the ground, Federation soldiers fought bravely. Mia covered the retreat of a small squad, helping them reach a better position. Ava coordinated riflemen, directing fire to slow enemy advances. Daniel moved carefully, taking shots only when he was sure of hitting the target. The humans relied on skill and teamwork to survive. Riley observed enemy formations, calling out adjustments to his team to counter attacks effectively. Explosions rocked the battlefield as the Queen's reinforcements landed. Soldiers were forced to take cover, but they continued to fight. Riley moved among them, providing orders and support. He saw the fear in some faces, but also determination. Humans were small in number, but their courage and strategy made them dangerous opponents. Every soldier knew that their actions could make a difference. Ethan prepared for his strike. He identified key officers on the enemy ship coordinating attacks. Calculating distance and movement, he fired. The projectile hit its mark, causing alarms to blare and officers to scramble. Chaos spread through the enemy ranks. Soldiers on the planet noticed the sudden confusion and realized that the humans had unexpected help. Morale rose instantly as hope returned to the battlefield. Riley and Ava seized the opportunity. They ordered squads to push forward and reclaim lost positions. Luke and Daniel moved together, firing with precision. Mia assisted wounded soldiers, bringing them to safety, while keeping the enemy at bay. The humans gained ground slowly but steadily. The enemy, disorganized and confused, struggled to regroup. The Queen realized that her plan was not working as expected. Federation soldiers held their lines and advanced, inspired by the hidden sniper's actions. Riley called for everyone to stay focused and ready for counterattacks. Ava encouraged the younger soldiers like Daniel, praising their accuracy and courage. Each human played a role in the fight. Every shot counted, and every movement mattered. By late afternoon, the humans had secured several key areas. Enemy forces were retreating or being disorganized further by Ethan's strikes. Soldiers whispered about the hidden sniper and the unexpected advantage he provided. Riley looked at Ava and said, "We are not out of danger yet, but we have a chance." Ava nodded, keeping her eyes on the horizon. The humans had proven that courage, strategy, and unity could challenge even the strongest opponents. The battle was far from over, but the tide was slowly turning in favor of the humans. The human soldiers moved carefully through the craters and wreckage. Captain Riley Mason kept a close eye on his team. He knew that the enemy could attack from any direction. Lieutenant Ava Carter directed squads to secure key positions. Private Daniel Cole stayed close to Luke Hayes, learning how to move under fire. Corporal Mia Bennett helped the wounded, keeping spirits high even as explosions shook the ground. Far in the asteroid belt, Ethan Cross adjusted his position. The rocks provided cover as he observed the battlefield. He could see enemy squads moving to reinforce weak points. He noted the positions of commanders and supply units. Each movement was calculated, waited for the perfect time to strike. One shot could cause maximum disruption without putting humans at risk. Riley gathered his team and spoke quietly. He knew the humans had to hold their current positions to survive. He reminded them to watch each other and stay focused. Ave repeated the orders to squads, moving quickly to ensure everyone was ready. Daniel followed her instructions carefully, keeping his rifle steady. Soldiers understood the importance of teamwork. Without trust and coordination, survival was impossible. Explosions rocked nearby craters as enemy squads tried to break through the human line. Luke fired with precision, covering Daniel as he moved forward. Mia pulled another wounded soldier to safety while providing suppressing fire. The humans used the terrain to their advantage, moving from cover to cover. Riley and Ava coordinated each movement to slow down the enemy advance. Ethan selected a group of enemy leaders coordinating attacks from a distance. He calculated wind, distance, and angles, adjusting his scope. With a steady hand, he fired. The shots struck their marks, causing chaos in enemy ranks. Soldiers on the planet noticed the disruption. Morale surged. They realized someone was aiding them, giving hope that survival was possible. The humans pushed forward with renewed energy. Riley signaled squads to advance cautiously. They reclaimed lost positions one by one. Daniel moved carefully, hitting targets and avoiding exposure. Luke provided cover fire, moving from one crater to another. Mia assisted the injured, making sure they could keep fighting or be moved to safer areas. The humans were small in number, but their skill and courage made them effective against overwhelming odds. As the battle continued, Queen Elena Ward observed from her ship. She was surprised by the effectiveness of the humans and the confusion spreading among her forces. She ordered new strategies and reinforcement squads. Explosions rocked the battlefield as fresh enemy troops landed. The humans had to stay alert. Riley and Ava adjusted their plans, repositioning squads to respond to the new threat. Coordination and communication became more critical than ever. Ethan identified another set of high-value targets. He waited until enemy officers were in vulnerable positions. One by one, he fired, striking them accurately. The enemy ranks were further disorganized. Soldiers on the planet noticed and pressed forward, taking advantage of the confusion. Riley called out orders, ensuring everyone moved strategically and covered each other. Ava coordinated riflemen to maintain pressure while protecting weaker squads. By late afternoon, the humans had held several key points and repelled multiple enemy attacks. Morale was high as soldiers whispered about the hidden sniper and the difference he made. Daniel felt pride in his actions, realizing he was learning to fight like the veterans. Mia continued to support and protect, ensuring the injured were safe. Riley and Ava surveyed the battlefield, knowing the fight was not over, but that the humans had gained an important advantage. As the sun began to set, the battlefield remained tense. Explosions and gunfire continued in the distance. Humans prepared for the next wave, knowing they could survive and even turn the tide. Ethan Cross observed quietly from the asteroid belt, planning the next critical strike. The humans below fought with courage and unity, proving that strategy, skill, and determination could overcome even the strongest enemy. The battle was far from over, but hope burned brighter than ever for the Federation soldiers. The battlefield was filled with smoke and the sound of gunfire. Federation soldiers moved carefully, keeping low and using cover. Captain Riley Mason signaled squads to hold positions and prepare for a critical strike. Lieutenant Ava Carter moved among the troops, shouting instructions and encouragement. Private Daniel Cole stayed close to Luke Hayes, learning how to aim and fire under pressure. Corporal Mia Bennett helped the injured, moving them to safer locations while keeping an eye on approaching enemies. Far above, Ethan Cross adjusted his position in the asteroid belt. He studied the battlefield and identified the enemy flagship, where Queen Elena Ward was directing attacks. He calculated distance, wind, and gravity, knowing that one precise shot could change the course of the battle. His finger rested on the trigger as he waited for the right moment. Every detail mattered. One mistake could ruin everything. On the ground, Riley gathered his team and gave a short briefing. They had to hold their current positions and buy time. Ava reinforced squads in key locations, making sure that every soldier was ready. Daniel checked his rifle, aiming carefully. Each shot could save lives. The humans were determined. They were small in number, but their courage and skill gave them an advantage. Enemy forces launched a heavy attack on the human positions. Explosions shook the ground, and debris flew everywhere. Luke and Daniel returned fire, taking out approaching enemies with precision. Mia dragged another injured soldier to safety, keeping calm under fire. The humans worked together, moving strategically and using terrain to their advantage. Riley moved between squads, giving orders and boosting morale. Ethan Cross prepared for his strike. He focused on the flagship, observing movements of key officers. He fired carefully, and the projectiles struck the ship's control core. Alarms blared, and enemy forces were thrown into chaos. Soldiers on the planet noticed the confusion and realized their unseen ally had struck. Hope surged among the humans as they saw a chance to turn the battle in their favor. Riley called for a counterattack. Squads moved forward cautiously, reclaiming lost ground. Daniel and Luke advanced together, covering each other while firing. Mia provided support to wounded soldiers, keeping them safe as they fought. The humans were disciplined and precise. Each movement was planned. Each shot aimed to maximize impact. The enemy struggled to regroup in the face of organized human attacks. Queen Elena Ward on her ship shouted orders to restore control. Explosions rocked the flagship as systems failed. Her forces were confused and disorganized. Riley and Ava noticed the opening and pressed the advantage. Humans took back key positions, pushing the enemy back. Morale improved with every success. Soldiers whispered about the hidden sniper and the difference his actions made. Daniel felt pride in his performance, realizing he was growing stronger and more confident. The battle raged on for hours. Humans maintained their lines, pushing back against overwhelming numbers. Riley reminded everyone to stay focused and coordinate their attacks. Ava shouted instructions, moving quickly between squads to keep them in formation. Mia continued to help the injured, ensuring that every soldier could keep fighting. Each human played a vital role in the success of their team. As evening approached, the humans had reclaimed several critical areas. Enemy forces were retreating or struggling to maintain positions. Riley and Ava surveyed the battlefield, knowing that they had survived against impossible odds. Ethan Cross remained hidden in the asteroid belt, planning the next strike. The humans had proven that courage, strategy, and teamwork could overcome even the strongest enemy. Hope burned bright on the battlefield as Federation soldiers prepared for the final phase of the fight. The battlefield was quiet in the early morning, but tension hung in the air. Federation soldiers moved cautiously, checking each position for enemy soldiers. Captain Riley Mason gathered his team and gave instructions for the final push. Lieutenant Ava Carter coordinated squads to hold key positions and prepare for the counterattack. Private Daniel Cole followed Luke Hayes closely, keeping his rifle ready. Corporal Mia Bennett tended to the wounded, moving them to safety while watching the horizon for threats. Far in the asteroid belt, Ethan Cross observed the battlefield. He had already struck critical enemy targets, but the battle was not over. He planned his next move carefully. The enemy forces were disorganized, but Queen Elena Ward still commanded from her ship. One precise shot could end her control and give the humans complete advantage. He adjusted his scope, calculating angles and distances. Riley and Ava led the humans forward. Soldiers moved steadily, using cover and terrain to their advantage. Daniel fired with precision, hitting targets while staying protected. Luke covered him, moving strategically and keeping an eye on enemy movements. Mia helped another injured soldier reach safety while maintaining her own guard. The humans were disciplined, their courage and teamwork giving them the strength to continue. Enemy forces tried to regroup and launch counterattacks. Explosions shook the ground as soldiers ran to hold positions. Riley shouted orders, keeping squads organized and focused. Ava directed riflemen to fire at vulnerable enemies while covering weaker positions. Soldiers worked together, each knowing their role in the fight. The humans were small in number, but their determination made them effective against overwhelming odds. Ethan took careful aim at the flagship where Queen Elena Ward directed her forces. He fired precisely, hitting the control core again. Alarms blared, and the enemy forces panicked. Soldiers on the planet noticed the chaos and pressed forward, taking advantage of the confusion. Morale surged as humans realized they could win. Riley and Ava pushed squads to reclaim more ground, moving from cover to cover and keeping fire on the enemy. Daniel and Luke moved together to secure a hill that had been heavily contested. They fired at approaching enemies with accuracy, slowing their advance. Mia continued to support the injured, providing water, encouragement, and bandages. Federation soldiers pushed forward in waves, reclaiming key positions one by one. Each success boosted morale and made the enemy weaker. Queen Elena Ward tried to restore control, but her forces were scattered and disorganized. Riley and Ava noticed the weakening resistance and pressed the advantage. Humans advanced steadily, forcing the enemy to retreat or surrender. The battlefield became clearer for the Federation soldiers. They could finally see the fruits of their courage and persistence. Ethan, still hidden in the asteroid belt, prepared for one final strike to ensure the enemy flagship could not recover. His precise shot caused the ship to lose stability, forcing Queen Elena Ward to retreat. The humans on the planet cheered quietly, knowing the battle was turning in their favor. Riley and Ava coordinated the remaining squads to secure the area fully. The humans had survived the impossible and proven their strength. As the day ended, Federation soldiers stood on the battlefield, exhausted but victorious. Riley surveyed the area, grateful for every life saved. Ava checked squads and ensured all wounded were safe. Daniel felt pride in his actions, realizing he had grown stronger and braver. Mia helped the last of the injured, her determination inspiring everyone around her. The humans had reclaimed the planet. Enemy forces were retreating, and hope returned to the Federation. Ethan Cross disappeared back into the asteroid belt, a hidden hero who had changed the course of the battle. The Federation soldiers had survived against overwhelming odds, proving that courage, skill, and teamwork could overcome any enemy. Their victory became a legend of human strength and determination in the galaxy,